Hey, well, good evening, Internets. It's me, DP Knudten, for another edition of Bookward Bound, my 301 daily consecutive live stream journey from I should really do this to done when it comes to a new book I'm writing called Nonfiction Brand, Discovering, Crafting, and Communicating the Completely True, Completely You brand you already are. Yeah, the cover's going to look something a little like this. Oh, let me show you there. There we go. Something like that. And this whole live stream journey is about documenting me as I do something to move my book forward every single day for, as I said, 301 days in a row. Now, that's a big number, 301. I mean, am I going to be able to do 301? I don't know, but so far I've done 70 as of last night, and I think tonight is episode 71. So that's 71 consecutive days since March 5th of 2020, doing something to continue this book moving forward. Some days I'm designing the book, like the book cover, which I've already showed you. Other days I'm outlining or mind mapping the contents, call it the conceptual contents of the book. And then other nights, I'm actually writing individual sections of the book in real time, right here in front of your very, very eyes. Cool, huh? Yeah, it's a little difficult, too, because writing is not an easy thing. You know, if it were, there'd be a whole lot more writers in the world. In fact, writing is one of those things that most people say they hate to do. And I'll be honest with you. Do I hate to write? No, I don't hate to write, but I hate to type. I hate to do all that stuff. I love coming up with conceptual ideas. I love formulating them into hopefully compelling sentences and things like that, but I hate getting it from in here through my keyboard into my computer and into Scrivener, which is the application I'm using to actually write the book. And you can see Scrivener right here. You can see the sections over here on the side. The blue ones I've already written, but they are not finally proofed or edited yet. The yellow ones, I'll get my face out of the way so you can see it. Like this one, Strategic Authenticity in yellow. That means that I've written a significant amount in that section, but it's not completely finished yet. And then the red ones are, dude, you haven't written anything in that section yet. So before I go too far, I want to remember one thing, and that is I want to write about a friend of mine who's building a personal nonfiction brand for herself, and her name is Dana Sanchez. And I had the delightful experience earlier today of doing what should have been a 1-hour podcast recording session with Dana, and it ended up being a 1.5 hour podcast session, and probably another hour's worth of conversation with a really fun, authentic human being that I really enjoyed getting to know better. So the Dana Sanchez episodes will be coming out, I think, in June, probably mid-June. And of what episodes am I talking about? I'm talking about episodes of the Nonfiction Brand podcast, which is the podcast that is the sister, the audio sister to this live stream. In fact, it looks a little bit like this. And pay no attention to the word live stream down there, but that's the cover image for the podcast featuring yours truly, DP Knudten. And she's going to be on that sometime, probably mid-June. Anyway, enough about that. Let's get into writing this beast of a book. And where I left off was a section called Strategic Authenticity. About prism before posting. So what elements make up a sound authenticity strategy? The varnished truth, like that. Hot takes. takes time. Oh, cool. Consideration. Now, I know I've used this before. Give hunt. Your hottest takes. How about that? Give your hottest takes. Cool. Consideration. So right now I'm not writing like full paragraphs. I'm just getting the major conceptual plot points down in here. What are the other? Knowing. Which is knowing who you are so you can be it is a constant litany throughout this book. The varnish strategy. And this is where I can start writing. I think I can say this whole book, the quick answer, quickest answer to this question is this whole book. But it's filled with ideas, frameworks, suggestions, and processes that can help you. But let's just focus on 3 important aspects of any well-founded authenticity strategy. And then we'll give this a Roman numeral 1, the varnished truth. From a truth and tact. You know how some of your friends, do you have one? How about that? Do you have one of those friends? Do you have one of those friends who always tells the truth regardless of its fallout? The keeping it real. Jerk who may, in fact, be telling the 100% truth, but evidently does not have a tactful bone in their body. These yeah, we all do. We all do. They're the douchebags. I don't want to say douchebags. They're the ones who make Thanksgiving so dang awkward. Quickly end conversations that led to people crying and leaving the room with, "What'd I say? What'd I say?" The unvarnished truth, while worshipped by some, is not always conducive to regulated or term relationship. Why one must have recognize and know to shape it. This last phrase, not a euphemism, euphemism for lie, or for lie. This last call to, but a call to civility. Especially aseptically, especially in business situations, depending where you live and work. Be that a full 50% of the people you work with or serve are not on the same page with you. Your opinions about politics, religion, even football teams. Games. Knowing when, where, and to. Serve the hot tea. Serve the tea is an art form that many Americans mastered but need to. I know I'm still working on it. Many of us. How about that? Many of us. Yeah, so I like to break up my paragraphs a little bit. You can see each of these paragraphs. One of the nice things about Scrivener is that if you highlight a section, it'll tell you down here the paragraph count. So out of 1,322 words, 68 are in that paragraph. This paragraph is about 58, and this paragraph is about 70. So I like my paragraphs, obviously, to be around 60, an average of 60-some words. And there's actually a strategy to that, because I don't believe people read the way they used to. The same way that Americans would never, ever sit still for a 3-hour oratory the way they did in the 1860s. Put it this way. One of the greatest speeches in English history, one of the greatest speeches ever given in English throughout the entire history of English, I think most people would universally agree, the Gettysburg Address by Abraham Lincoln literally is one of the top 5 in English. Well, guess what? The guy who went on before him, and by the way, Abraham Lincoln was not the primary speaker that day. He went on after the primary speaker that day. The one who went before him did a 2.5-hour speech. Who's remembered? I don't even know the name of that guy who gave the 2.5-hour speech. But we all know the beginning of that. How many words? I'm going to look that up. Sorry. I might write about that in this book. Gettysburg Address. How many words? 272 words. Oh, yeah. So anyway, the Gettysburg Address came on after a 2.5-hour orator. What do we remember? 77 years ago, our fathers brought upon this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. We are now gathered on a great battlefield of that war, blah, 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 blah. I forget the rest. But my point is, we don't have the patience to spend 2.5 hours listening to someone speak or read, like, let's say right here, these 3 paragraphs, which are 196 words, which are actually just under 100 words short of the Gettysburg Address. If that were one paragraph, be honest with me now. How many of you would read it? Yeah, that's what I thought. Not many of you. Because we almost read like bonbons now. It's like reaching into that Whitman sampler of candy to pull out, here's a bonbon of written information. Delicious. In fact, Twitter is based on that. I mean, now we can do 280, not words, but characters in Twitter. And people are, well, that's kind of long. I remember when they switched from 140 to 280 characters, I kind of complained because I liked it even shorter. Turn it like into a bumper sticker rather than a paragraph. But I lost that fight, and I'm okay with it now. Took a while for me to get used to it. But my point is that having 3 paragraphs instead of one big paragraph makes it a lot more approachable to the reader. That's why I break this up. All right, so give your hottest takes. Cool. This idea is much like the one above regarding the truth. Regarding how, when, where, and what you share about the or your truth. Hot takes are the flash bulbs. Triggers of discourse. They happen when something is immediately amazing, annoying, outrageous, or universally pop, or the topic has great universal appeal. And hot takes are frequently wrong, or at least wrong headed. Example. Clickbait headline that says murder hornets have been covered in the United States. this actually happened a couple of days ago. At the time of this writing. My God. Murder hornets in the middle of a global pandemic. Run for your bunkers. Your bunkers. Or don't. Because they big deal. Or don't. Or don't, because or don't. Is goal. Ooh, I gotta give this a created with a goal of and this is where I hit the Safari again. Ugh, can't do it. Primal emotions. Yeah, what are the basic emotions? 8 primary emotions. Let's call them primary. Well, I don't like anticipation. I'm going to go happiness 6 piece. How many were in Inside Out? I think 4 basic happy, sad. I think that's true. 4 basic human emotions. We're going to go with 4. New research say there are 4. Happy, sad. Well, that changed the size of that, so that'll be some researchers. Aim. I'm not going to quibble about that. Angry or disgusted. Person can still take about any appropriate subject, but the strategy part is all about limiting the topics upon which you make those hot takes. Here's how that works. Let's say you're an athletic trainer who really wants to build credibility within your specific niche. First, what's your niche? What's your niche? Niche. You could be weight loss. It could be the primary. What's your niche? The hyper focused area in which you want to specialize. Could be weight loss. Could be weight loss. Endurance. Performance. Weight training. Flexibility. Weight loss, endurance, performance, weight training, flexibility, cardio. Yeah. Optimization. Stress relief. Willing and relief. The list goes on and on if your endurance performance specialist you have a hot take on every new fad diet that pops up? No. No. Because new diets pop up every day, pop up practically every day, comma, and your bandwidth would up by responding to something that does not matter to your core business or the best customers or your core customers. Now, if someone asks you about it, but if diet showing up in your neck of the woods, media-wise, that's the perfect time to demonstrate your expertise. But not with a hot take, but a coolly considered response focused on providing relevant, valuable information. Every journalist knows that the first report of any significant event is often partially or even completely wrong. A smart, strategically authentic person avoids that trap. Avoids that trap. with the true truth. And believe me, there is a difference. With the real truth, the real truth. If being first means being wrong, second place to be. Alrighty. I'm gonna look this up. I just want to see. Yeah, that's all working. That's cool. Get out of there. Media wise should be media wise. Yeah, give it a dash. Okay, now what I said about paragraphs is in action right here. So this is a pretty big paragraph, 140 words. I'm thinking that's too long. So I'm going to look at this and say, okay, where can I break it? Starting a sentence with but, number one, grammarians go nuts, but I frankly don't care because I think it's a really effective technique. Not a good place because the but replies to or deals with the previous sentence. However, I'm noticing right here, because I'm changing the subject a little bit. I don't mention journalists anywhere in this paragraph, but every journalist knows that the first report of any significant event is often partially or even completely wrong. A smart, strategically authentic person avoids that trap and fights back with the real truth. If being first means being wrong, coming in second is the smarter place to be. Good. Liking that. And then this would be... I think I've already mentioned this in the book. You knew. Just knew. Going to bring up this twin phrase again. This phrase pair. Dual concept. Again. It is the DNA of fiction branding. Branding, after all. Oh, geez, what do I want to do with this? I think what I want to do... So how many words did I write tonight? The unvarnished truth. Well-founded. That's okay, 634 words. That's great because last night did the math and figured out that if I were to do 500 words of new stuff every night from now till December 31st, I'd have a book that was 330 pages long. That's, well, actually probably even more than that. That's too long. So I don't need to do 500 words tonight, and I've already done 634. So that means I'm done for the night, which is good because it's Friday night and I'm tired and I don't want to do this anymore. And that's a good time. Part of knowing who you are so you can be it is knowing when you're doing or what time periods work best for you to do certain things. I'll be honest with you, my prime time for writing is in the morning. I get more written in the first 2 hours of the day than I do the remaining 8. So why am I doing this now? Because this is the time I have to work on this thing. So I'm not going to force it, because forcing it just means I'm going to get burnt out, and getting burnt out means I'm not going to show up tomorrow night. And then I will have blown my streak of what is tonight, 71 consecutive days. Cannot mess with the streak. I learned that from my daughters when they were all into Snapchat. That's what they were. They were all doing streaks in Snapchat. They hated to see those streaks end. Well, I'm not going to end my streak until it's December 31st, 2020. Well, and actually I'll go live the next day to actually post the files to Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing page or channel to have them to be able to self-publish my book. That's where I'm doing it, Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing. So I got to keep the streak alive, and sometimes to do that, you got to know when to fold your cards. You got to know when to hold them. You need to know when to type them and when to fold them. So I'm going to fold my cards right now. I'm DP Knudten for the Nonfiction Brand podcast, which comes out every Monday. So check that out. I'm going to be editing Monday's episode tomorrow, a Saturday. And I think it's going to feature what's his name? Matthew from Bonjoro. Let me look up, what is his name? Matthew Barnett of Bonjoro, which is a email video serving company. It's really kind of interesting. So I think it's going to be a fascinating conversation with him. He's from Australia, so I love my Australian friends. I love hearing that accent on my podcast. So you'll want to check that out on this coming Monday. And so check that out wherever you get your fine podcasts for free. That's it for me tonight. Thanks so much for watching and helping keep me honest and working my book forward. Because if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be here for me. Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, theme music, take us on out. That's the Nonfiction Funk, which I created in GarageBand. Maybe I'll show you how to do that sometime. In the meantime, I'm DP Knudten, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.